Okay, so I'll tell you something that you need to know. Training the mind, basically, it can have many meanings, but in most of the cases, training the mind primarily means training your mind in bodhicitta. Got it? And there are two types of bodhicitta. Conventional bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. Right? Conventional bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. These are interesting terms. Conventional bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. Conventional bodhicitta means bodhicitta. Just like conventional weapon. Right? Versus what? Nuclear weapon, right? The rest of weapons are all included in the conventional weapon. So conventional bodhicitta means bodhicitta. Then the other one is ultimate bodhicitta. Right? Ultimate bodhicitta is actually not bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta means wisdom realizing emptiness. Ultimate is emptiness, ultimate truth. This is also called bodhicitta because this also leads to achieving the bodhi, Buddhahood. Now understand this properly, then more or less you have understood everything. Whether you study Lamrim or you study maintaining Lojong, this is the heart. Just catch it. It means you know Lojong, you know Lamrim. Only thing is you need to practice. How many types of bodhicitta there are? Name? Ultimate bodhicitta. Conventional bodhicitta means bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta means wisdom realizing emptiness. Right? So conventional bodhicitta is heart, dil. Right? Ultimate bodhicitta is dimag. To simplify it. Right? Right? So, head means you analyze the reality of everything through the wisdom. Right? Through analytical meditation, you are able to realize emptiness, shunyata. Now bodhicitta, the conventional bodhicitta or bodhicitta means, what is definition of bodhicitta? You will be hearing this again and again, reading this again and again, but if you just keep on reading, not the meaning, not knowing the meaning, it's of really not much use. You will never make progress. So bodhicitta is a wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. There's the definition. Bodhicitta means bodhicitta. Bodhi here means Buddhahood, enlightenment. Chit means mind, the mind to enlightenment. So the definition is the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Abhi thik se, dhyan se, pay attention, tomorrow is exam, okay? I'm joking. Tomorrow is exam. What is the definition of bodhicitta? All sentient beings. So isme, if you look at this definition, there are two aspirations. One aspiration is the wish to become Buddha. This is one aspiration. Second aspiration is to help all sentient beings. The wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So bodhicitta is a kind of a mind having two kind of aspirations. Wish to become Buddha to help all sentient beings. Why do you have to become Buddha to help all sentient beings? In our ordinary materialistic world, we think we can solve all problems through money. Right? But here in this case it says you can help all sentient beings only if you yourself becomes completely enlightened. Now when you are not enlightened like me, I'm here supposed to be giving the teaching, but I have no clue what is happening in your mind. From what background, if I meet and talk, I may get some idea, but otherwise I have no clue what is your background in this life, what was the background in the past many lives, and where you are going to go, what kind of situation you are going to face. I have no clue. If you are completely enlightened, that enlightened being like the Buddha knows everything. So therefore he knows what to teach. Exactly, because they know the mental disposition. So therefore, even in the ordinary case, it is important to be as much as possible to try to explain things so that people can understand. Because this philosophical or mind training text is a little bit, the technical jargons are also there. So if you get caught in some of these technical jargons, listeners may not understand. Just like when I say convention of Buddhism, the ultimate Buddhism, if I don't explain, you have no clue what does that mean. कौन सा चिड़िया का नाम है ना? So when you study Buddhist literature or any study, make sure you know what you're reading. From there you can make progress by leaps and bounds. इतना तरक्की कैसे होगी आपको भी पता नहीं चलेगा. Most of the time we don't make progress because we are not paying attention to the details of the subject. We don't pay attention to the meaning of the words. Right? So now you know conventional bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, definition of bodhicitta also. So I will try to remember all your faces. Next time I meet, I will see whether you are able to remember everything that I said. So that's why the mind training text or even the Lamrim teachings, the most important subject matter is these two, conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. In other words, wisdom, understanding, emptiness, and then best of the good heart, compassion, loving kindness. These are also part of the heart, right? But compassion, for example, it says, how nice if I'm able to remove all the sufferings of sentient beings. Loving kindness says, how nice if I am able to make all sentient beings meet with happiness. That's very good. But it's not saying, may I become Buddha to benefit all of them. On a very, very ordinary level, we go to school, we go to college, universities to get education. Why? Because education, proper knowledge education is supposed to be a kind of guarantee that you will be able to get proper job and good treatment from other people. Education, therefore, is very important. So now here we are talking about the best of all the education that's available in the world. Becoming Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. It's not talking about becoming a chairman of a big corporate, becoming president, prime minister. We are not saying that. Even president, prime minister, most of the time their politicians not that good. But even if it is good, it is the president, prime minister of just one country. When you become Buddha, you become the leader of all sentient beings in the universe. And that state of enlightenment is such that he is completely devoted for all other sentient beings. He is trained in that way. So this people who possess this mind, bodhicitta, is called bodhisattva. They are really great. Bodhisattvas are not completely enlightened. There are many, levels of bodhisattvas, right? Right? But they There are seats here also. ठीक है ना? Right? क्या बोल रहा था मैं? So bodhisattvas, there are many levels. Bodhisattvas are not necessarily Buddha. Buddha is bodhisattva, but all bodhisattvas are not necessarily Buddha. There are many levels. Bodhisattva of the first ground, second ground, third ground, fourth ground, fifth ground, so many levels. So they are great beings, of course, altruistic beings. But, to be honest, these great bodhisattvas, they never think themselves as the king of people, of sentient beings. They always think we are the servant. That is the purpose of religious practice. You should always think yourself as a what? If servant is not good, what? Helper or something like that. And for bodhisattvas to be able to help others is the greatest joy. They are not doing this for money and name and anything, but just because able to help. How this is possible? Because they have genuine love. Why a mother is ready to help her children? Why mother completely dedicates her life for the children? Why? Because the mother considers her children as her children, of course. So in a way there's a little bit of clinging and possessiveness. But in the case of enlightened beings like Buddha, there is no possessiveness, but they will also call my children in a different sense. Because in ordinary case, my children, then you get obsessed with your children. The other children you don't care much. Ye to mera bacha nahi hai. Buddhas are not like that. Everybody is your children. I mean, it's amazing. And that is possible if you develop this unconditional love. And developing unconditional love is not only for others. It's not good only for others. It's good, primarily good for you. Compassion is not necessarily good for others. It's primarily good for you. Of course, it's good for others also, but primarily you are the main beneficiary of compassion. For example, if I think, at least those of you in the hall, if I consider, may all these people in the hall be without suffering, may they meet with happiness. It's a very good thought. But that does not necessarily remove your suffering or make you meet with happiness, unless I'm spiritually highly elevated. Right? But it just opens my door. It stops discrimination. And just by developing that genuine, I'm not talking about business love. Ordinary love is business love. I love you so long as you love me. I give you 10 rupees so long as you give me 10 rupees. This is business. But here, therefore, we call this love unconditional love. Condition kuch bhi nahi hai. The only reason you love other people is similar like the way you love yourself. Why do you love yourself? This is a question you need to ask. Do you love yourself? Are you sure? Have you repeatedly said, I love myself? Did you say things like that? No, I mean seriously, whether you are saying that or not saying that, but I don't know love, but you do take care of yourself as much as possible, right? Yeah. So in that way we can say you love yourself. But tell me why you love yourself. If I ask you this question, why you love yourself, you can give all kinds of answers. You can say, I love myself because I'm an intelligent person. I love myself because I'm a professor. I love myself because I'm a monk. I love myself because I'm a woman. You give all kind of answers, but they are not correct answers.
I want to be happy.
Exactly. You love yourself because you want happiness, do not want suffering. That's all. So similarly, other people also want happiness, do not want suffering. Then your stupid mind will try to argue with that, saying, yeah, that's true, but who am I to love them? They will take care of themselves, I'll take care of themselves. You think like this. You think like this because you see no connection of you with others. It is like saying hand is hand, leg is leg. Why should the hand go down to help the leg? But still your hand goes down to help the leg because leg and hand are connected, related. Similarly, we are all related. Now in this case, the relation is so expensive that thousands of people living like thousands of miles away from India, about which you may have no idea, but still you are benefiting from them. They are benefiting from you. That's the connection. So we are living in a time where you cannot really say that I will take care of only myself, only my country, only stupid, very stupid. Right? Right? And you try to, it's not easy, saying is easy, but you practice a little bit. Develop a genuine wish to help others. Develop genuine wish to become Buddha for the benefit of others. Do some prayer and think about them. It will liberate you. It will open your inner gate. It will make you accessible to everybody. You will not be bothered whether you know this person or not know this person. Basically there's no need introduction. He's a human being, this is a human being. He has a feeling, he has a feeling. She wants happiness, he wants happiness, nobody wants suffering. That's the biggest introduction. You may have so many titles and names and things, but these are really, really secondary. We are all born in the same way, die in the same way. So why you make these stupid discriminations? Never. Right? So the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So when we talk about training the mind, you are training your mind primarily in these two. Now in these two, when you train the mind, right now you may have some, in the beginning you don't even have a clue what is bodhicitta. Now at least you know the definition. You know the types of bodhicitta. But you don't have it. We talk about unconditional loving kindness. You get some sense, but you don't have it. You talk about compassion. It's great, but you don't have it. So now practice means to gradually possess these qualities. Make these qualities part of your life so that you're always compassionate, always loving. That takes time. It's not easy. But not easy does not mean you should not do it. Even getting food is not easy. Right? हम लोग बोलते हैं ना very difficult. Very difficult. Many things are very difficult. Getting food is also very difficult. But nobody will stop working saying it's difficult. It's a question of survival. So similarly, this one is even more crucial, more important. So therefore, number one is you should consider yourself a privileged person, fortunate person. Don't just think, I attended these courses and then go away. Oh, it was good, it was so, whatever, make such comment, go away. That's not the right thing. The right thing is you should consider yourself. What is the population in Delhi, you said yesterday? 30 million? Yeah, how many are there here? 70, 80 maximum. So who chose these people to come here out of this 30 million? You have some karmic connection. Nobody forced you to come here, right? Nobody is paying anything except a cup of tea outside. But you came here. So don't take it for granted. You have committed certain positive karma. Because of that, you are able to attend this teaching. Especially a teaching based on development of the greatest human mind, the most benevolent human mind, which is called bodhicitta. So that is really, really a rare privilege. So therefore you should consider yourself extremely lucky, fortunate. Right? Does it make some sense? That's how the teaching is imparted in our tradition, you see. So now, to consider that you are fortunate, and then after the teaching is over, no self-study, no meditation, no practice, then it's of no benefit. I mean, it may be of some, but not much really. So you need to do it on a regular basis. Just like for the body, how many times you eat? How many? 3 times. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. In between also. In between Kit Kat. Right? So 5-6 times. Hey, for the mind also need food. How many times you give food to the mind? Honestly speaking, almost nothing. For the body, 5 times eating, then plus jogging, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of yoga, whatever, you do something. But for the poor mind, you hardly do anything. So that's why in a challenging way, I tell people, much of the problem that you see in the world today is a clear indication of starvation of human mind. You are giving nothing to the mind. If you give something to the mind, it's all rubbish that you are giving. How to defeat others, how to gain victory just for oneself, how to make money just for yourself, how to make name for yourself, all these stupid things, You are feeding your mind with junk. You check all your emails, mostly junk. You watch all the televisions, news, mostly junk. That's what you get for your mind. Right? So therefore now make it a point and say that I have no time to collect junk. My mind is not a junkyard, place to store junk. Now I will put in my mind the positive, virtuous, beneficial qualities. It's important. These are extremely important. Most of you are kind of senior people, so you easily understand what the teaching is saying. You easily understand because you have sensed something based on your personal life's experience also. In which direction you should go, in which direction you should not go. You already have some sense. Because these Buddhist teachings are saying what is true, what is really, beneficial. And you will experience it in life. So younger people may have a little bit difficulty because they have not yet faced too many challenges and problems in their life. They are just starting to face these things. So gradually you will realize, I cannot help, thinking about our Tibetans who, many of them migrate to America, Europe, so many countries. But then they develop more respect to the Dharma teaching. In the beginning, they all went there for the sake of getting a good job, a little bit more money, which they get. But then they realize this is not the end of the story. They miss His Holiness teaching. They miss the opportunity to study Dharma. So they take long leave and come and do circumambulation, go for pilgrimage and everything they are doing. Recently I met so many of them, talking to them. You see, that is the thing. At the end of the day, the one that will help you is your inner resources. Right? So that's why we are studying here. So, in the mind training text, the main focus is development of the two bodhicitta. I made it very clear. Now, with regard to training in the bodhicitta, you need to train your mind in the conventional bodhicitta and also in the ultimate bodhicitta. Now, bodhicitta is actually the gateway, entrance to Mahayana. Mahayana. Yana means vehicle. Right? So in whether you are Mahayana, Maha means great, the great vehicle. So you follow the great vehicle or enter the path of the great thinking. When you develop this mind, wishing to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, this is how you become great. So in your case also, you may not have the genuine bodhicitta, but the more you think about others, the more you will become a great. I think it was Martin Luther King. I sometimes think he must be a bodhisattva. Although he died very young, but during his short span of life, the things that he did, I had the privilege of visiting his place few times. Then very fond of reading some of these things. So he says, you can all become great because you can all help. This is from Martin Luther King. See, you can all become great because you can all help. Your being great does not mean that people give you the recognition and put it on a higher pedestal and throne. कुछ भी नहीं है. Throne में तो जल्दी गिर जाता है. You can all become great because you can all help. Imagine, you help somebody and then the person to whom you help shines with happiness, What else you want? In my own case, I'm not pretending that I'm a great helper or anything like that, but I did small things. You also did small things. Recall those moments. In my case, once, and I frequent through Delhi on and off with my many travels. So one day, I think it was a Greater Kailash somewhere. I had my lunch, then came out. I was planning to take a three-wheeler to go to the place where I'm staying. So little girl, maybe 8, 9 years old, something like that, with beggars, with disabled hair, came stretching out her small hand, That really melts my heart when I see those little hand, begging. Recently I was in Bodh Gaya, so many of them begging. Right? हिंदी में बोलता है हम इन लोगों का क्या कसूर है. So what I did was I gave her 10 rupees. I'm very tight-fisted, okay. I didn't give 2,000, 3,000. I gave 100. No, sorry, 10 rupees, not even 100. 10 rupees. Then I went on the other side of the road, took the three-wheeler, and just looked back, and this little girl is still standing there. So much of appreciation to me. 10 rupees, imagine, looking at me and waving me like this. This is a picture that will remain in my mind forever. And recently, then in Bodh Gaya, I'm not talking about my greatness, okay? I'm talking about things that actually happen, you see. So I stayed in that Nechung guest house in Bodh Gaya. So just outside, it's the road. Then on the road, there were a family who came from Madhya Pradesh. Very poor family. Father was there, mother was there. They had a young girl who she says she is 15 years old, but doesn't look like she's 15, maybe a little bit younger, whatever. Then 2 other small children. So they put this pole and the rope, circus. The whole day, this girl, 14, 15, whatever it is, the whole day, she's walking here with the stick and she's resting the whole day. I was, I have pictures. And then just next to there was a, Lhasa restaurant. We used to eat there. So when we were about to order our lunch, she was very honest. Chawal. I said, wait. Then I bought 2 plates of fried rice and gave it to the family. She was so happy. This is nothing, So there also I really shared with some people, the Tibetans and many others, they go around that circumambulate the both Gaya temple and day and night, which is very, very good, right? But I actually thought, then these great prayer festivals of this tradition, that tradition, so much money is spent over there, which also good. But I would prefer that at least 50-60% of this money, if they can come with a project to help start a school. There is one, for example, in the Root Institute. They are looking after around 200 students. I was invited to meet the teachers and give a talk. That is the right way to develop India, not just this क्या बोलते हैं अंधविश्वास superstition, just doing things, not doing the real thing. People who have nothing to eat, nothing to wear, right? So we all have a responsibility to do something. We can do something. That's the right way. That's important. That's implementation of bodhicitta. So training in the conventional bodhicitta and training in the ultimate bodhicitta. So the gateway to the Mahayana is bodhicitta. If you have bodhicitta in you, you are Mahayana. If you don't have, you are not Mahayana. You may simply be follower of Mahayana teaching, but you are not Mahayana. Okay? Then it is said that the moment you develop this bodhicitta, you will burn all the past karmic obscurations and protect you from all sufferings and all fears. In today's world, we all develop so many fears, right? And depressions also. Depressions, uneasiness, all this come, fear, all this come because of attachment. Attachment to something and you are not getting it, then you develop fear. For example, I did not notice, but there was a little earthquake, right? Tremor. I was sleeping peacefully. I did not notice at all. But morning news, I saw it. So when such things happen, you will have fear. Why you have the fear? Because attachment to yourself. So if you reduce the fear, depression will also go. And the fear primarily comes from attachment. If you reduce attachment, fear will not be there. Stress will also not be there. Okay? So bodhicitta will help you protect from all sufferings and fears. You develop fear and suffering because you think only about yourself. Right? Now in terms of the order or sequence of training in that mind, as I already mentioned, the bodhicitta is also of two types. It has two aspirations. The aspiration to become Buddha and the aspiration or wish to become Buddha and the wish to help other sentient beings. Now in terms of the wish to become Buddha or wish to help others, here the most important thing is you should make a clear analysis of the benefits and advantages of taking care of others and disadvantages of taking care of just yourself. I'm not saying don't take care of yourself, but just thinking about yourself alone. So now come to the text. Right? The second point is the actual training in the bodhicitta. Now you look so comfortable, right? When we say the actual training in the bodhicitta, you're already very familiar what is bodhicitta. So the actual training in the bodhicitta, the first one says, all the blame is in one. Or the text says, all the blame goes to one. That means all the blame goes to you. To you means your self-cherishing attitude. That's to be blamed. We are so good in blaming others. I am having this problem because of him, because of her, I have a problem because of the sun, because of the rain, this, that, everything outside. Yourself. So all the blame goes to one. The goes to one means our experiencing of suffering and undergoing many things that we don't want to experience, not being able to achieve what we want. In all these situations, the one that is really, really responsible, the one that you should blame is not anybody outside, because if you do that, you are making a mistake. Right? So all these problems, difficulties you experience come from cause and condition. The main cause is, as I've been saying earlier, the negative emotions. The contaminated actions that we perform also arise from negative emotions. And even among the negative emotions, the most horrible, almost like the boss, is what? There are countless negative emotions, right? The root cause of all this negative emotion is no, 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 huh? No, no. Come a little bit closer. Yeah, ego a little bit closer. Ignorance. Ignorance. Now I'll explain a little bit. Don't worry too much about finishing the text. I will try, but otherwise also don't worry. You should understand the meaning. Now you know the two bodhicitta, right? Ultimate bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta. Why these two things are important? Because you need these two to fight with two horrible enemies. And what are those enemies? Two. Out of many, two primary. The president, the prime minister. Huh? Ignorance, very good. Ignorance, self-cherishing attitude. Now understand this very well. Ignorance and self-cherishing attitude. Self-cherishing. Self-cherishing. Which means, which does not mean to say that you don't cherish yourself, which means thinking just about oneself only and not about others. So the root cause is ignorance. And here, what do you mean by ignorance? Ignorance is of two types. One is mere absence of knowledge, not knowing. There's also ignorance. There's another one which is worse than this one. The first, mere absence of knowledge, is called inborn ignorance. Right from birth we have this kind of knowledge of not knowing things, inborn ignorance. In addition to that inborn ignorance, as if adding fuel to the fire, we also develop what we call as philosophical ignorance. Something like philosophical ignorance or imagined ignorance. That means you study many philosophical traditions, many other things which may actually be wrong. So these wrong ideas, wrong philosophies actually strengthen your basic ignorance. For example, if there is no permanent self, you study a philosophy which says there is a permanent self, then your basic ignorance is further fortified and strengthened. Then it becomes very, very difficult. Right? So, the wisdom, the ultimate bodhicitta, wisdom realizing emptiness, is to fight against that inborn, two types of ignorance, the inborn and the imagined ignorance. Now the Pepenalina, Kunda dan Lingyese. Papa Kasiyo, how many Tibetans are there? Can you raise your hand? Chik, Ni, Sum, 3. Chumare. You where? Kinor. Spiti. Huh? Ladakh. Ladakh. Anyway, I'm just out of curiosity. Because I was thinking, on the one hand, I appreciate those of you who are able to read Tibetan, but for those who are able to read Tibetan, actually there should be a class just in Tibetan. You'll become so comfortable with that. So that's why I was saying these things. Anyway, okay. So the ultimate bodhicitta, wisdom, understanding, emptiness, is to fight the enemy, ignorance, which may be the inborn or maybe the philosophical ignorance. This ignorance must be uprooted because this is the cause for all other negative emotions, all other wrong actions. Clear? Now the second conventional bodhicitta or bodhicitta is antidote to self-cherishing attitude. Thinking just about yourself and not thinking about others at all. So in this mind training text, what we are doing is, we are trying to dislodge or dethrone these two evil forces which is peacefully residing in our mind. The self-cherishing attitude, thinking just oneself, not about others, and the ignorance. These two are the sources of all problems in the world that you can see. And the bodhicitta is source of happiness for everybody. So your practice basically means empowering the two bodhicittas. Make them the president, prime minister in this particular election. And defeat the opposing forces, the self-cherishing attitude and ignorance. यही करना है. That's all you need to do. इसी में लगे रहो. Just spend time in this. Of course, you can read more and more book, but this is what you need to get hold of as the essence of all the teachings of the Buddha. There are 108 huge volumes of the words of the Buddha alone. Next time if you visit my institute, Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, we have all those translations. 108 Pothi volumes, manuscript, plus 225 ancient Indian commentaries written by Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, and so forth. Unfortunately, most of them are lost. They were in Sanskrit. Now, because of the invasion and other things, there's a long story, but it is available in Tibetan. So the essence of all these countless volumes is basically this. So if you practice this, you are basically practicing all the texts. There's no need to read all of them from cover to cover. If you have time, it's wonderful, but no need to do that. The other day I was telling one of my friends that if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, but not necessarily the whole ocean. Because you can't drink the whole ocean. And there's no need also. So I'm saying this because sometimes what we do is we just try to get more and more knowledge. I read this for the sake of countering, There's the story of one gentleman who every morning, takes out hundreds of sheep or cow or some, animals. He counts them, make sure this much is there. Then he sends all this animal on the mountain for grazing. Then in the evening again, he collects all of them and counts. Then a friend comes and says, "You must be very rich. You have all this flock of animals that you count every day." Then he said, "Yes, I'm not rich. I'm just servant. I don't have even one animal." So if you don't get the essence and practice it, it will become like this. Yeah, I know this. Yeah, this I found. This is there in the Avatamsaka Sutta. This is there in the, it's just for counting. You personally, you will get nothing. Right? So it's important to just catch the essence and practice it. Right? Okay? So, what I was saying was source of all problems and difficulties, negative emotions. Out of all the negative emotions like anger, jealousy, hatred, the root cause is ignorance. And from ignorance also comes self-cherishing attitude. Right? So in order to do away or at least lessen the impact of these two, you need to develop these two mind. Is that clear? If this is clear to you, your attending this teaching is successful. Because here and there I give so many talks, and so lately with age and other things, I realize, you should tell people the essence. Because you are able to clearly tell the essence after having read this text so many years, then you know how to put things in a nutshell. This is ये लेके जाओ भाई, ठीक है ना? So this self-ignorance, you know the meaning, yeah? One is mere lack of knowledge, another is misconception of reality. So ignorance means lack of knowledge or misconception of reality. So that means reality is that everything is interdependent, interconnected, but misconception of reality means seeing things as having independent existence. That is called ignorance. Seeing things as having independent existence. I can manage myself. I don't need to talk to other people. I don't have to depend upon other country, other society. That kind of thinking is wrong. So these negative emotions led by self-grasping, the ignorance, they have been harming us from time immemorial. They have done immense harm and they are still harming you. And in the case of ordinary enemy, as I mentioned earlier, if you submit to their dictates, they'll also probably treat you nicely. But these negative emotions, the more you follow it, the more you get addicted. Addiction, you know the meaning of addiction? We are all, simply said, we are all heavily addicted in all these negative emotions. When you get addicted, what happens? If you are addicted in smoking, what happens? If you are addicted in drinking, what happens? We all know this. But I want to explain this to you. In the case of the brain, the naturally given human brain has to a great extent capacity to protect yourself. And the whole human nervous system, it has capacity to protect itself to a great extent. For example, if you go to a very dusty place, you will cough, you will start coughing. Why? Because the brain is saying, please cover your mouth. You are visiting a dangerous place or things like that. So brain tells you, you take the first puff of smoking in the initial stage. The first thing that will happen is you will cough. Which means the brain is saying this is not good for you. Then you take a second puff, third puff, it will continue to, you will continue to cough. Then after 3-4 days, you will continue to do, then the coughing will stop. Instead of coughing, it will say, now I need more. Or love cigarette. We had with His Holiness Dalai Lama, there was a meeting of Mind Lab conference, and one of the topic was addiction. So the director of, I think, Addiction Center or something in Washington, D.C., a lady, she explained it. The natural brain has the capacity to protect yourself, but when you get addicted to something, the addicted part of the brain takes over. or love, it takes over. And then the natural brain stops functioning. That's how you destroy yourself. So negative emotions, we are very strongly addicted. So in order to stop this addiction, you need to do mind training, meditation repeatedly. It will not go away easily. And you need a little bit boldness also. मैं जरूर करूँगा. ऐसा नहीं कि if I get opportunity I'll do. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. Okay? Yeah, it says, if you don't fight with this self-cherishing attitude and ignorance, it is of no benefit. You attend, you receive many initiations and attend many teachings, and the Lama will put his precious pot to bless you on the head many times. Not much benefit. And then, as a summary, it says, as far as the fault, disadvantage of self-cherishing attitude and ignorance is concerned, even if all the Buddhas of the 3 times continue to talk about the bad side of all these negative emotions, it will never come to an end. Because the negative emotions will destroy you, destroy your relatives and friends, destroy your peace, destroy your sanity, right? Destroy your wealth also, right? So, the blame goes to 1, the self-cherishing attitude. And the second one says, meditate on the great kindness of all beings. We are talking about cultivating loving kindness and compassion. How are you going to cultivate compassion and loving kindness? When you cultivate loving kindness, you are saying, how nice if all sentient beings meet with happiness. When you develop compassion, you are saying, how nice if all the sentient beings are without suffering. So you are able to develop all these good qualities in relation to other sentient beings. Therefore, they are kind, they are great. So here in this case, it is not the question of whether they have a motivation to help you or not. The fact that you get the benefit is enough. Just like the dollars and euros, The euros and dollars have no motivation to benefit you. But because you get benefited, therefore you respect dollars and euros. Similar like that. Okay? So therefore, if you look at even the definition of bodhicitta, I said the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. And you're being able to, practice the 6 perfections and so forth. It's possible only in relation to sentient beings. So therefore, even when you look at other sentient beings, look with happiness and kindness, you see. It makes huge difference. I'm staying here in the inhabited center. So when I take the lift to go up and down, I meet many senior people, So I've just judged how they react. Sometimes I go, just like that. They also go like this. So sometimes I just a little bit wait and give them opportunity to go and smile a little bit. I'm doing nothing, such a small thing. They become very happy. They immediately, oh, namaste. This is the thing, You're not giving money, anything. Because people are basically, all people, all over the world, generally speaking, have good heart. They're humble, nice people, But the society is not so healthy, so they also have to be a little bit reserved and careful, So therefore, Shantideva's Bodhicharya Avatara says, in terms of your collection of merit, Buddha and ordinary sentient beings are equally kind to you. So this being the case, how come you pay so much respect to the Buddha and not to the sentient beings? You're able to develop love, compassion, six perfections and everything in relation to sentient beings, not to the Buddha, not in relation to sentient Buddha. Because you don't need to develop compassion and love to Buddha. The only difference is, yes, Buddha has special knowledge, so in that sense you respect. Sentient beings are the sources of your development of many qualities, so you should respect all of them. And respecting the Buddha and not the sentient beings, there is the beautiful text written by Gamboba, one of the foremost student of the famous, Siddhi Milarepa. There is a text called Precious Garland, the path, the supreme path to the precious garland of the supreme path of precious garland. There he says, respecting the Buddha and not the sentient beings is really like cutting a piece of flesh from the leg of the child and giving it to the mother. When we go to the temple, we make offerings, right? From where did you get these offerings? From other sentient beings. So he is asking, how about, you chop a piece of flesh from the leg of the child, of the mother, and then go to the mother and say, this is for you, I love you. The mother will not only not be happy, but will be horrified. Right? So therefore, now the next line says, giving and taking should be practiced alternately. That means when you develop loving kindness, you are saying, how nice if all the sentient beings meet with happiness. So you're giving. How nice if all sentient beings meet with happiness, you're giving. Receiving means, how nice if all the sentient beings, suffering of all sentient beings, removed by me, come to me. So these two should be done alternately. And the sequence of taking begins with yourself. This process of taking and giving, in terms of the order of the practice, you should first start from yourself. From yourself means you should imagine, okay, now I take upon myself possible sufferings that you will encounter in the subsequent state to you. And then practice loving kindness, thinking that I'm, the person tomorrow and next month and so forth is given with all the loving kindness. So this is the meaning, that you start from yourself. Then similarly you think about others. Right? And you should begin by taking from yourself. This too should be made to right on the breath. That means when you breathe, when you inhale or exhale, when you exhale, you should think, I'm giving all the good qualities, knowledges, compassion, love, everything towards everybody. Not only to the sentient being, but the whole universe, for the whole environment. Think like that. Now the air in Delhi is purified. Something, mentally, think like that. Purification. Then when you inhale, you should think you are taking all the problems, sufferings, depressions, loneliness, low self-esteem, having no job, having headache, everything taking up with yourself. Now when you do this, you need to be a little bit careful. Because if you're somebody who is already overwhelmed with sufferings, then you do this practice, you may not be able to tolerate it. I already have sufferings. Why the hell I should take all the sufferings upon myself? So in this case, you are not imagining you take all the sufferings to you and put it there like a big dot, not like that. You bring all the sufferings, problems and put it on the head of the self-cherishing attitude. That's what you want to destroy. So you took upon yourself all the sufferings and problems and put it on your self-cherishing attitude, and the self-cherishing attitude disappears. This is a very, very powerful practice. So that you should do and you should begin by taking from yourself. These two should be made to right on the breath. 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 basic virtues. 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 basic 3 basic virtues means when you engage with any object, okay, there are basically 3 objects. The object that is attractive and pleasant, object which is not attractive, right? And then object which is neutral. When you engage with an object which is attractive, you might, develop some attachment. When you confront with an object which is distasteful, you develop anger and hatred. If it is a neutral object, you develop ignorance. 3 objects, 3 poisons. Right? That's the meaning. 3 poisons. So now you should change this into 3 basic virtues. That means when you look at object, these 3 objects, don't develop attachment, non-attachment, non-hatred, and without ignorance. The objects are same, but depending upon how you relate to them, your perception, things change. It's again interesting. Much of what we experience is dependent upon your mental projection. The same person, today, when you are in a good mood, the same person looks amazing, beautiful. And then you had some misunderstanding. The next day, same person looks horrible. The person is same face, same feature, maybe even the clothes same. But that is why beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. Beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. And in reality, beauty is skin deep. The ugly goes all the way down. Something like that. So, change your perspective. Change your perspective. The instruction to be followed, in short, is to be mindful of the practice in general. Time is flying. What should we do? Is there any way we can arrest that time? Okay. So this should be your attitude. The instruction to be followed, in short, is to be mindful of the practice in general. You should always remember these practices. And in order to achieve success in this, you should also say it verbally, repeat it. That's why we do all these mantras. When stability has been attained, impart the secret teaching. So when you achieve some stability in the development of conventional bodhicitta, then the secret teaching, that means wisdom, understanding, emptiness, is then explained. The secret. Now in this practice of understanding shunyata, number 1, consider all phenomena as like dreams. In terms of the object, there's no object that has independent inherent existence. They are only mental designations. So see them as like dreams. And what about the mind which sees the object? Consider all phenomena as like dreams. Similarly, examine the nature of unborn awareness. That means your mind is also unborn, meaning it is born, of course, but unborn means it also doesn't have independently existing origination. And then what about the antidote that we apply to remove the ignorance? The remedy itself is released in its own place. That means the remedy, the antidote, also doesn't have independent existence. Place the essence of the path on the nature of the basis of all. So that means whether it's the subject, whether it's the object, whether antidote, all of this doesn't have any independent existence. So this is how you should meditate. And after the meditative session, between sessions, consider them like illusory people. Like illusory people. Creation by a magician, When the magician creates something, when you actually see, you really see a person, Especially if your eye is duped by some spells, then you see things. But when that spell is removed, you don't see anything there. So during the post-meditative session, when you confront a very attractive thing, also, okay, this is also impermanent, doesn't have independent existence, reduce attachment. And when you meet somebody who you dislike, then you can say, oh, this is also like a dream, this person is going to die sooner or later, She also has a lot of problems, difficulties. And he is obviously not waiting for me all the time to harm me. When we don't like somebody, it really looks like the person is always waiting for you, standing at the door. It is not like that. It's your perception. Right? They have their, during many of my talks, people always ask me question, especially young people, they ask me question, Geshe-la, I'm bothered by a ghost. Then I tell them, no. You think you are being watched or chased by a ghost because you are weak. Your mind is weak. Because it's not the case that all these ghosts are unemployed. The only thing they can do is chase you and hurt you. It's not like that. I tell them, you feel like that because you are weak. And when you are weak, people will also bully you. When you are weak, insects will also harm you. So therefore you eat and make physically strong, you don't fall sick, So similarly, when you make your mind strong, you don't have to fear anything. The real fear, the real ghost is inside. Self-cherishing attitude and ignorance. There cannot be a ghost bigger, more harmful than these two, which is there. You are sleeping with them and you are not scared. Now you're starting thinking that there's somebody, harming you. There's somebody, even if there's somebody, that person at the most can harm you physically, nothing more than that. But these negative emotions with whom you are sleeping will harm you today, tomorrow, for many lives to come. Okay, stop here today. Yes. Yeah, yes. Please, yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. So actually you said that we have two types of ignorance. One is inborn ignorance and second is imagined or philosophical ignorance.
Yeah, misconception of reality. Misconception of reality.
So actually I wanted to ask, suppose we are not ignorant, we are having the knowledge, but we are still deliberately not able to practice it. In spite of knowing, we are not.
There are many cases. One, you may have the knowledge, you are not able to practice. There's one thing. The second is the so-called knowledge that you think you have may be wrong knowledge. You need to be careful. That's why in every study, in every field of education, it's important that you exercise your brain.
But what is philosophical ignorance?
Philosophical ignorance, for example, I'm not trying to say Buddhism is best, okay, but of course, my job is to present the Buddha's teaching. Okay. So if you believe in a permanent soul, that's philosophical ignorance from Buddhist viewpoint, Atma. झटका लगा ना थोड़ा. No, I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong at all. That's not my duty. I'm simply presenting the Buddhist philosophy. So according to Buddhist philosophy, again, of course, we can all analyze. The path must be correct, true to the reality. It should not be just imagined one. So this is not easy. But we can minimize this problem. Whichever religion you are following, we can minimize this problem by saying that, okay, there are two levels. One is ordinary level, where you can find things out by yourself. There is another level which is more or less metaphysical, right? So those that are at the metaphysical level, if you're not able to understand it, why you bother your dear head? For the time being, leave it. You use those things which you can understand, which you can figure out. And those things which you don't understand, don't say bad, don't say good. So in that way, scientists are quite honest. If you ask them whether there is a future life, they'll say, I don't know. They will never say, no, there is not. It is not there. Right? So that's important. At least there is an area where we can figure out what is right, what is wrong. The problem actually starts there. Even in that area where we can analyze and find things out, we are not analyzing. We are simply following the crowd. Then you get all these problems. Crowd at the train station, crowd at wherever, honestly speaking.
But if we don't follow the crowd, or we say that we have the herd mentality, so then...
Why? Your life is your life. Why you have to listen to others?
But then we are branded as antisocial.
No. No, if you say things which is against the society, so in that case you may have a right to say, but still the society is powerful, so they'll say it's anti-society. But if you simply don't follow, the Gandhiji's non-cooperation movement, as I said, areas which you don't really like, you don't say anything bad if that is not going to helpful. If it is helpful, you have to say that, because the whole society is going in the wrong way. Right? But if you are not able to say things because of the situation, at least you have the right not to follow it. कल परसों मैंने बोला था ना, if people have started jumping from the 9th floor committing suicide, will you also jump? By saying the whole society is jumping and committing suicide, I should also commit suicide. वो तो नहीं करेगा ना आप. That's what I'm saying. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Venerable Geshe,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like we should believe in the goodness of others, fundamental goodness of others.
Yeah, of course.
But is it also dependent on the fact that certain cultures, like the Indian subcontinent, Christianity, they believe in non-violence. So if they are trying to be violent towards you and you respond with non-violence, they're like, okay, maybe I'm wrong, I should not do this. But perhaps there are also places where these beliefs are not there.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, Buddhist philosophy is a perennial philosophy. It's nothing to do with a particular culture. Yes, when you talk about different culture, actually the very word culture and civilization, they are very profound. It's not that easy to explain it. Right? Culture, the very word, to culture your mind, So if that is there, then the question of violence and all these things doesn't arise. So the culture we are basically talking about is not the real culture, number one. A superficial culture which is dividing, is not the good culture.
No, Venerable Geshe, my point was if the person who is committing atrocities does not believe in non-violence is a good thing.
Yeah.
then what's the point of being non-violent towards him?
What?
If the person who is committing violence towards you,
True, true. If your father is doing some violence with you, what will you do? You will fight against him? Because that is also violence. Why don't you fight? Because he is my father. You have some love, some compassion. So similarly, when you develop love and compassion, you need to find a solution in a different way, not tit for tat. We need to learn, with this idea of tit for tat. You know how many millions of people are killed in the Russian Revolution, in the French Revolution, and still its killing is going on. What did we get from that? That's what I'm saying. And then people like Mahatma Gandhi, people like His Holiness Dalai Lama, because they essentially followed non-violence, how many people are getting benefit? But at the same time, I'm not saying that you let yourself being killed by the enemy sit there like a stupid fool. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, right from the beginning, you prepare yourselves in such a way that you are able to defend yourself. So nobody has the capacity to, show their ugly eye towards you. But unfortunately, normally we ourselves become very weak. And then when people take advantage of, then we complain, This is what has happened with Tibet also. You see, we did not do the right thing. We are only saying non-violence. That also not the genuine non-violence. Only non-violence on the leaf. I mean, some Tibetans like His Holiness, of course, understand that. But generally speaking, you see. So non-violence actually, therefore this question is important. Non-violence in the true sense of the term is the most powerful tool to fight against anything. This is the tool that the Buddha used. That means, how did the Buddha control the negative forces? Ballistic missile? Atom bomb? No. Loving kindness, compassion. Right? It's a very powerful force. You are able to withstand problems, difficulties with your integrity, with your understanding. You become a person who is not afraid of saying things, not afraid of doing the right thing. You see? That is called a courageous person. And people who are hiding today, the people who are sitting in an air-conditioned room, pushing the button and just like video game, killing millions outside. Can you call those person brave person? So that's the thing. Yeah.
I have one practical question, Venerable.
Yeah.
So, in life, problems happens.
Yeah.
It could be because of ignorance,
Yes.
or it could be because of the actions that you don't have control.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the problem is there in the mind, is there in life, and knowledge is not going to improve the problem.
Because
Like in the Tibetan issue you are saying.
exactly.
Okay? The knowledge or the action is not going to improve the problem because it happened because of the ignorance and it happened in the past. Now, how do you take care of the problem situation now in the mind?
Action.
Action is not possible.
Why not possible?
The same
Because
way.
the reason that you develop this thought is so that you are able to practice, implement. I'll give you a very good example. Have you seen Tibetans demonstrating? 10th March and others. China, go back to Tibet, we have no freedom in Tibet, you have destroyed our culture, religion, language. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Right? So that is Save Tibet. That is supposed to be the action. But that's not the real action. The real action is, if you're genuinely concerned about destruction of Tibetan culture and language in Tibet, and say that there's no freedom, why you are not doing this in India where there's freedom? Why you are not doubly working hard to preserve your language, to preserve your culture? Why you don't dedicate yourself to do something good for your society? Why don't you educate yourself properly, Although I'm giving the example of Tibetans because I'm a Tibetan, but this is similar with everybody. You are very good in pinpointing the fault, misery upon others, but you don't do the work that you can do. That's the problem.
So you put the action, you put the action, you are doing the action,
Yeah, then
but it is
practice.
still not solving the problem.
Then you solve the problem.
action.
Huh?
Then you have to do more action.
Yeah, you need to do repeatedly. Ekdam se thori hota hai. Repeatedly. Like for example, if you think, okay, today I'm going to have a very nice lunch. Which restaurant should I go? Huh? There's thinking.
So at what stage?
No. There's thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, thinking. Then you say, okay, once in a while I should go to a 5-star hotel. Which one is better? Which one is better? Then you go to, supposed to be the best 5-star hotel, you go there. Then you reach there and then waiter se bolenge, menu denge. You read everything. Then say, okay, thank you very much. Go. Is that the solution for your hunger? That's what I'm saying. You need to eat it.
So just one last point on
Yeah.
that.
You don't have the money in your pocket.
Then don't go to 5-star. I'm just giving you.
So on that last
Then
point,
you go to bed and breakfast. Or cook. Best is cook in your own home. Yeah.
at what stage you give up?
Huh?
At what stage you give up your action?
Action.
Is it never
No.
give up or it should
Okay.
give up at some stage?
Action means I'm talking about good action. Good action, never give up. Always do. Bad action, never do. If you just use the word action, the positive actions, negative actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Venerable Geshe Lhakdor, one simple question. You talked about bodhisattvas.
Yeah.
What are arhants? Arahants.
Arhants are those, this is a good question because many people think arhants are Buddhas, enlightened one. No. Buddha is, just as I said, Buddha is a bodhisattva. Similarly, Buddha is also arhant. But all arhants are not necessarily Buddha. Because through your stages of spiritual practice, there are people who think it is really good to become Buddha, but I give up. Because Buddha is talking about benefiting all sentient beings. And when I think about all sentient beings, there are so many unruly people there, The more you help, the more demanding they are. It's like putting water in a sand, So it's a good idea, but I can't do. So I better remove my negative emotions, the seed of negative emotions, achieve liberation just for myself. So through this kind of thinking and attempt, they gradually remove all the negative emotions and also the seed of the negative emotions. Then you become arahant. That means foe destroy. Arahant means one who destroyed the foe, the enemy, which is the negative emotions. But you did not cultivate this mind to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So you just remain as an arahant just for yourself. So in the long run, even that is counted as not something good. Because you achieved very high realization, but just for yourself. What about other mother sentient beings? So there is a, inkling of attachment, selfishness there.
I have a question. So you mentioned Buddha saying remaining silent on metaphysical things. You putting questions on metaphysical things. He's silent on it. But Buddhism, on the other hand, teaches you about karma and things like life being transient and etc.
Karma is not metaphysical. Karma means action. Action. There are so many actions that you can see today also.
So karma, I do a good thing, I end up getting a good thing as karma. I do a bad thing, I end up getting a bad thing. But practically, you see people who do bad things are getting better and better. So you see people who do corruption, you don't see them fall down. Like they get better.
This is how you measure. Depend upon how you measure things. There is a line in a sutra by Buddha where he says, those who do good dharma practice, they will suffer terribly. Those who do good dharma practice, they will suffer terribly. Those people who do bad things, they will prosper. Meaning temporarily. So those who you think is prospering, example is like a person who has taken out all the bank balance and bought a Mercedes car and built a nice flat. So everybody thinks he's very rich, but there's nothing in the bank now. Very soon he's going to become bankrupt. This is also actually happening in the society. Corruption charges and all these things are happening, you see. Even if there's nothing happen, you cannot cheat yourself. You may be sleeping on a very soft bed and nice building, but still, your conscience says, okay, this is, you earned wrongly, So your conscience is telling you, you've reached here through the wrong means. So then you remember, how did you come there? You remember, this person knows how I did it, this person knows how I did it. So you have fear, anxiety, unsettledness all the time. Right? Now those people who really do practice from the worldly point of view, they don't pay too much attention to the money and pose, status. So they seem to be lagging behind. But actually this is difficult to understand from the ordinary mundane worldly point of view. But actually you see, the interesting thing is, the more you remain at a humble state, more you remain at the lower pedestal, the less you have problem, the less you have difficulty, the higher you will climb. This is what is taught in Buddhism. I have myself seen people who just do everything possible to get that high post and seat. Then very soon people are against them, he is falling, going down, things like that. So name and fame and money, running after them is like climbing a tall branchless tree. When you climb a tall branchless tree and reach very high and look down, then you can for the time being say, oh look, you people are all down there, see how high I am. But those who are on that level, there is a risk of falling down and breaking the leg and the neck and the waist and whatever. Those who are sitting on the ground, there is no risk of falling down. That is the thing. And then also look at the example of some of the president, prime minister of the world. Those people who have been honest, they remember. Even when they're retired, they remember. They talk highly about this. I've in my life seen Vaclav Havel. I had the privilege of having tea with him. Nelson Mandela, I had the privilege of meeting him and having tea with him because I was traveling with His Holiness. You see. So they throughout, they really fought for the people and did the right thing. People still remember them. Contrarily, there are those who also reach that same level, but later on people rise against them. So don't judge the spiritual practice through ordinary worldly achievement. Worldly achievement is actually really nothing much. It's temporary glamour. Yes.
Sir, I have a question. There are some countries which follow Buddhism.
Yes.
But still they are disturbed countries. Like Myanmar, I think it follows Buddhism.
Yeah.
And then China also follow Buddhism. But still, this country are either dictatorship, they run either there is dictatorship or they are disturbed country like Myanmar also.
No. The question is, your question is,
In spite of
who follow Buddhism. It's questionable whether they follow Buddhism or not. They say they are Buddhist, but they don't follow. Similarly with other religions also. How many people live in accordance with the true spirit of Hindu teaching? How many are there who really understand the spirit? How many are there who really understand the spirit of the Buddha's teaching? You see. So they say that I'm... And in fact, many people, unfortunately, to justify some of their actions, they say, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, So they are using Buddhism and Hinduism as a tool for their personal glorification, not the other way around. In reality, it is the religion that should change them. So these people, they themselves don't change, they try to change the religion for their personal benefit. So that's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah. So this is like medicine becoming poison. So in that sense, it is better not to have any religion.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your dedication to this teaching from School of Wisdom. And it's a gift for us to listen to you. We are so sorry that we short of time. We can ask questions tomorrow. Thank you everybody for joining us and hope to see you tomorrow as well. Thank you so much.